Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Hashtag Finance. I'm your host, Barrington Miller, and today we are sitting atop the First Canadian Place, 72nd floor, and I'm here with Bob Brilon from Vapen MJ. How are you doing this morning?
Doing great, thank you.
Vapen MJ is a CSE-listed company. We're really proud to have them, and we want you, the audience and listeners, to get to know a little bit about the company and the president and CEO. So tell us.
Great. First of all, I am the president and CFO. So,
CFO, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. The CEO is probably going, what?
Did something happen?
Yeah, exactly. And again, something to make sure we say out there to the public, it's VAPN is our symbol here on the Canadian Securities Exchange.
That's really important. A lot of companies don't.
VAPN, so take a look. But no, we're thrilled to be here with you today, and we just got done with the bell ringing this morning, and that was a fantastic honor.
Now, there was quite the crew here for the bell ringing, and I don't mean as far as actual numbers, but as representation. So you had people from Grit Capital. I believe you had people from GMP. Of course, you had people from your company. When one looks at your product and your company, they see a certain lifestyle association, but really for the entrepreneur and for the investor, how does one construct a company like Vapen?
Well, it's been a fun journey. One other gentleman that was here, is David Eaton out of the Barron Group. He's one of our directors. But to start a company like this, it really takes a founder that has a vision, and his name is Tai Wen. He started this back in 2012. 2013, 14, 15 were, as you can imagine, growing years. He bootstrapped it. He didn't bring in anybody else's capital, but he won the lottery in Arizona, where he got a vertically integrated license, meaning we can cultivate, we extract, and we sell through a dispensary. During those years were tough years because it's a medical marijuana state, and so you only have a certain number of customers. And it really took a while for that customer base to grow. Now it's at about 200,000. What's nice is it looks like we're going to go rec in November 2020. And then now you have 6 million. And so that's going to be a big spike for us. We're really excited. But growing the company from just the grassroots, where I think he had 4 people to start with, and at this point we're at about 140. So we have significant amount of people, as you can imagine, in a 30,000 square foot indoor grow space. We have a dispensary where we have about 40 employees that again, we're open 7 days a week from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, and we get a lot of customers going through there. This month we've had some of our record-breaking days, so we're excited.
Well, let's expand off of that as far as the record-breaking month, and we talked about this earlier off camera. Your product is an inhaler, a vaporizer, how does it work? Does it work with dry flower or oil?
We have, we like I said, we're vertically integrated, so we actually have dry flower that we sell through the dispensary, but we also have the cartridges that are on the normal batteries. We also have inhalers that have THC inhalers, like an asthma inhaler is what it looks like. But we also have our own edibles. So we do chocolate bars, snacks, and gummies and candies and the like. So we have a nice broad variety. And because you have, and then we also have under the Vapen name the extracts, so the shatters and waxes. So we kind of have that whole plethora for everyone there, because you've got the connoisseurs, you have the hardcore, you have the ones that are getting it specifically for pain management, and some of the older generations that really don't want to do anything with smoking, but they like the edibles. Right. So it's really a great expansive diversity of products. The one that's been in the news, of course, is the vape cartridge. A lot of the vaping gets wrapped up. We obviously don't do anything with nicotine. We don't do anything with the vitamin E acetate that they say have been having some of the trouble. So we put out press releases actually saying, hey, we don't do this. And in fact,
that's good, getting ahead of it.
It is. And then we also want people to know what purity and quality standards we go through, because it is the black market cartridges that are coming up with some of the issues, and we realize that.
Right. Well, that's that's good in being proactive, and there's a lot of other companies that need to do that as well. Now, tell us what's going on in Arizona. What's it like? We usually hang out with Steve White from Harvest.
Yeah.
And I was recently in ArcView in New York, and there was another brand clothing company from Arizona. And it seems like everybody in Arizona knows each other, and everybody sort of hangs out. And Steve was there, and they were there. And I was just wondering, is that what happens? That's the perception I have. But
yeah, no, it is a very tight group in Arizona. We actually have an Arizona association for dispensaries, and Steve White is actually, I think, chairman of that right now. So we see him at those meetings, and obviously on this circuit when I go to several different conferences, I see Steve at every conference I go to. It seems like so. Yes.
We'll be right back after a quick break from our sponsor.
Broadcasting from the heart of Toronto's financial district at the top of First Canadian Place, CSE TV is your trusted source for what's happening in capital markets. Our #Finance podcast series gets you exclusive long-form interview content with visionary entrepreneurs and CEOs of companies in the news. The CSE's On the Street segments get you up close and personal with many of our listed companies. And don't forget that you can find the video version of this and all our media on our CSE TV channel on YouTube. For instant notifications, subscribe to CSE TV now.
And we're back with Bob from Vapen. Now, do you have expansion plans outside of Arizona, or do you?
We do. Right now, when people look at our company, look at our revenues, look at our profitability, that's all been Arizona driven. But since the beginning of this year, actually, when we decided we were going to go public, we said we're going to expand now into other states. We're not going to do it like the typical MSOs where we're going to go out and raise a bunch of money, do acquisitions of these different entities. We're partnering with groups that they may already have cultivation and a dispensary, but they don't have an extraction facility. They also don't have a brand. So we're walking in, creating a new entity that does the extraction, does the sales wholesale to all the other dispensaries in that state, whether it be Ohio, Oklahoma, Massachusetts. So those are the states that we're going into, and we'll build this new company with our partners that have feet on the street. They already know the landscape. They know the political issues that they have to get through. They already have a license. They have buildings. They have land. And we're bringing in our standard operating procedures. We bring in some equipment, our extraction equipment, and personnel that have been trained. So part of the big part of that, though, is to also get it sold to the other dispensaries. In Arizona, we already sell to the Cureleaf, Harvest, etc.
Right.
So we'll do that in these new states also.
Now, you mentioned politics. There seems to be a large looming. Will they pass it? Won't they pass it? And I know it already started with the Safe Banking Act, and that needs to go to the Senate, I believe,
correct.
for approval. What do you think? What do you think happens in 2020 with this thing, or 2021?
I think it moves forward. What day is it, before or after the election? Anybody's guess, but it's going to become an issue that's going to be talked about. And I think anybody that looks at it is going to realize it needs to be, put above board. A less under the table type black market is going to be good for everyone, both on quality and taxing. And so I believe they're going to get to the point where they're going to realize, we need to do this. And I like their thought process of leave it to the states, and because the states know how to manage themselves. And so far it's happened very well in the states that have taken over. And again, there's been some trials and tribulations of, oops, we did that wrong. But they get it right, after a while. So it's, but I think you need that regulation. And, we see it in Arizona. It's actually been great regulation. The black market is still there a little bit, but not like you'd see over in California. They've still got an issue. They just haven't done the enforcement and
right.
But I think it can happen in a very short time frame by, as you said a minute ago, the banking issue. We are very fortunate. We have a bank in Arizona that we've used since the beginning.
Perfect.
But in other states, they don't have a banking option, and they're just because they're afraid of the federal backlash. So I hope they do get that figured out quickly.
Let's jump gears back to some of the partnerships. There's a gentleman by the name of Rick Ross. How did Rick and you guys get together? Who called who first?
Really, it is Tywin, who is our CEO and founder, has relationships in LA and just has friends that are willing to do things just because they're friends.
Wow, that's great.
And that's where we got a call actually from Grit Capital, who does our IR up here, and said, "Hey, they're having a Rick Ross concert up here. Do you have a relationship?" And so we made the call, and sure enough, let's go do this. And so we're excited to go to this concert tonight,
which is happening tonight, 8 p.m. Phoenix Concert Hall. Rick Ross, Port of Miami, Part 2. So is there anything else that you'd like to tell investors or entrepreneurs about either Vapen or about the industry, and what advice would you give you 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, we all look for these times when there's an event going on like cannabis. I mean, cannabis is right now, it's an industry that's not going to stop. It's going to unfold, and it's going to become just huge in revenue. And it's because it helps people. It's got its medicinal effects, but also it's one of those that, people enjoy it. And so at the same time, you find an industry like that, that's one to get involved with, because it's got a lot of upside, especially in the U.S. market. I mean, Canada has had a lot of the big boys because they got into it early. But when you're talking about 30 million population to 360 million population, there's a lot of upside in U.S. So we're excited to be part of that.
Well, thanks, Bob, and thank you for your time and for your insight. And this has been your host, Barrington Miller, wrapping up another fine edition of #Finance. See you next time.
Hi, it's Grace from the CSC reminding you to make sure to follow us on social media for the latest updates on our listed companies as well as new listing alerts. For more in-depth content, be sure to pick up our free quarterly magazine, Public Entrepreneur, available online at thecsc.com.